What's up, y'all? It's your boy KevOnStage. With me, I have my lovely and beautiful wife,
Miss KevOnStage.
Yes, I love her dearly. Today, we want to talk about communication in relationships, and specifically, we want to talk about how to argue, right? Because there's a healthy way and an unhealthy way. Am I spinning? Mm-hmm. To argue. Let's deal with the unhealthy way and the most common. One way we argue is yelling, right? I have this saying, I don't know where I got it from. You can be saying the right thing at the wrong, you can be all the way right at the wrong tone of voice or something.
He got that from me. I got it from a book I read. I think it was Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus. Mm-hmm. I think it's from there. You don't ever
What's
want to
the
get
right
credit.
quote? Cool.
It's, you could be, you're wrong at the top of your voice. Got it.
So you can be saying the right thing, but if you're yelling, they're not going to hear it. Okay. Another thing people do when they argue that's unhealthy is name calling. Like, if I have a legitimate concern with Liz, right, and I'm making my valid points at the right tone of voice, if I call her a name, it totally defeats everything I've said. And what were you saying though?
And then the other thing is that number one, it turns the argument from the issue, right, and it comes to, well, no, I'm not, whatever it is you decide to call me. But the other thing is we have to remember, especially in lifelong committed relationships, is that I read this, I think, on Instagram, and somebody was saying that words can be forgiven but never forgotten. So yes, we should forget. I am able to forgive you and move forward, but my mind, I'm not God, and I can't cast things into the sea of forgetfulness, never to be brought up again. My mind works so that I can recall those things. So you have to be careful because you don't want to damage your spouse for the tenure of your relationship because of something you said out of anger.
Right. And another thing, when you argue, you want to talk about the subject at hand. One thing, especially I did this early in our marriage, in an effort to win arguments, even though me and Liz will be arguing about this thing, I would go back 2 weeks ago, 2 months ago, say, but yeah, you did this. And it's totally irrelevant to the current argument we're having. Sometimes in relationships, you need to lose that argument, okay? You don't have to always be right. Relationships aren't about being right all the time. It's about growing together, you know what I mean? So don't try to make sure you are right every time. It's unhealthy and it's not right. There's one more I'm trying to think
of.
Well,
the other thing that I was going to say is just piggybacking off what he just said, is that you don't want to compare. You don't want to be in the midst of an argument and say, well, so-and-so's wife does this. Well, so-and-so husband does that. And please, I'm about to rebuke you right now. If you go to your spouse and say, well, Miss KevOnStage said this. Well, KevOnStage said you need to be doing this. Or she does this. And don't you do that? Mm-hmm. I don't want nobody hating on me I ain't never met because you comparing them to me. Because I have many shortcomings, many things that I could be working on better that your spouse could be doing and getting the highest of high marks. And I'm getting a 0. So you never want to compare. You want to have a self-contained relationship and you are comparing against what you did yesterday. Am I better than I was yesterday? Am I improving from where I was yesterday? Because comparing me to that person over there, our relationship isn't the same, the dynamics isn't the same, and you never know what that spouse is doing to get that person to do what it is they're not doing for you.
Preach.
Follow that.
And another thing Melissa said, she kind of glossed over it. Our relationship is not your relationship. And that's another mistake I made early in I read something in a magazine like, well, Seal and Heidi Klum do this. And she was like, so? I'm not Seal. I'm not Heidi Klum. You know what I mean? I used to do it with my pastor. Well, pastor does this. She was like, I'm not married to pastor. I'm married to you. So what works for others doesn't necessarily work for you. Take the advice we give and mold it into your relationship. You never want to say, you know, Melissa said this, Kev said this, so you should do it. Like especially if they didn't watch the video. And real quick, one thing I want to touch on when you argue. There's a right and a wrong way to be mad, right? And you have to stop being mad while you're still mad, especially when you've had an argument. What I mean by that is when we argue or something makes, one of us makes each other mad, there's always a point in a relationship where one person tries to smooth it over. Mm-hmm. They'll give you a playful elbow or be like, well, you still stink, mm-hmm. Or whatever. And you know it, and you just be like, you decide to still stay mad. So then what happens is they're like, okay, I reached out with that olive branch and you kind of smacked it out of my hand. And then however long later, you feel good. So you come back and be like, well, you stink. Mm-hmm. And they're like, nah, I'm mad now. And then you have done the same thing. You reached out with the olive branch and then they smacked it out of your hand. And this is how people can be mad for 2 weeks because nobody is willing to say, I know I do stink. Like, you've got to stop being mad while you're still mad. Otherwise, the argument will not end. You'll still be being salty at one another, and it's okay to be mad. It doesn't mean you have to stop talking, you know, or you know what I mean? Like, you have to give yourself some time, but don't continue to be mad all day, because then the argument turns salty and sour and all that type of stuff. So, with that, you have any other final thoughts?
I do not.
Okay. Well, if you guys have any...
Oh, I have to shout out Monica. I have to shout out Monica Duggar. She had these earrings on over the weekend, and I thought they were fabulous, so I found a pair, and I told her I'd shout her out. Shout
out Monica Duggar. Thank you guys for joining us again on Kevin List Talk to the People. We have no title for this. It's just whatever. We hope we helped you, and goodbye, and God bless.
Bye, and God bless.
What's up, everybody? It's KevOnStage. Go subscribe to my YouTube page, and don't you be bitter. Just follow me on Twitter. What's up, everybody? It's KevOnStage. Go subscribe to my YouTube page, and don't you be bitter.